Welcome to US Market Brief, your fast track to today's biggest stock market stories. Like and subscribe to support us and stay ahead on Wall Street. Here are the brief highlights of today's top stories. $7 trillion, wall of cash worry is looming for investors once Fed interest rate cuts start. Gemini, the Winklevoss crypto exchange, pops more than 14% in Nasdaq debut. Pfizer, Moderna shares fall on report that Trump officials will link child deaths to COVID shots. Charlie Kirk shooter. Officials identify Tyler Robinson as suspect after arrest. Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk prepare to face off in the next obesity drug battleground. BlackRock's Rieder the latest candidate to interview in Fed chair search. Opendoor board chair Rabois says company is bloated, needs to cut 85% of workforce. Tim Cook explains why Apple is investing heavily in Corning's glass factory. Apple, Google and Meta are trying to perfect a science fiction gadget, the universal translator. And Chinese EV players take fight to legacy European automakers on their home turf. Joby and Archer join FAA's eVTOL pilot testing program. David Ellison has wasted no time putting his stamp on Paramount. Massachusetts sues Kalshi alleging illegal sports gambling. Benioff says he's inspired by Palantir, but takes another jab at its prices. Ram cancels plans for all-electric pickup truck. Now, let's dive deeper into the details. Record cash levels in money market funds are causing concern for investors as the Federal Reserve prepares to cut interest rates.
Approximately $7.6 trillion are currently parked in these funds, benefiting from high yields due to previous rate hikes.
The Federal Reserve is considering a rate cut, potentially as much as 50 basis points, to combat inflation.
This policy shift is expected to reduce yields on low-risk cash investments.
The so-called wall of cash theory, suggesting this cash influx could boost the stock market, has been largely dismissed.
Recent jobs data indicate a weakening labor market, prompting the Federal Reserve to act swiftly.
While inflation remains a concern, it is not expected to prevent a rate cut of at least 25 basis points.
Experts believe the pace of future rate cuts will depend on labor market and inflation data.
Gemini, the cryptocurrency exchange founded by the Winklevoss twins, saw its shares surge over 14% on Friday following its initial public offering on the Nasdaq.
The company raised $425 million in the offering.
Shares opened at $37.01, significantly higher than the initial public offering price of $28.
At one point during the day, shares reached a high of $45.89.
The stock closed at $32, a 14.3% increase.
The New York-based company initially set its initial public offering price range between $17 and $19, later revising it to between $24 and $26.
The final pricing of $28 valued Gemini at approximately $3.3 billion before trading began.
Gemini held over $21 billion in assets at the end of July.
Pfizer and Moderna shares dropped on Friday following a Washington Post report.
The report claims Trump administration officials will link COVID-19 vaccines to 25 child deaths.
Officials plan to present this claim to a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Advisory Committee.
This committee advises on vaccine access and insurance coverage.
The Washington Post noted the presentation is not yet finalized.
A Department of Health and Human Services spokesperson called the report speculation.
Pfizer stock fell over 3%, while Moderna dropped over 7%.
Novavax, a protein-based vaccine maker, also saw shares decline over 4%.
Officials identified Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old Utah man, as the suspected shooter of Charlie Kirk.
Robinson was arrested and booked at the Utah County Jail.
Governor Spencer Cox announced the arrest at a news conference.
President Donald Trump previously revealed the suspect was in custody.
Kirk was fatally shot Wednesday at Utah Valley University.
A friend of Robinson's family told authorities Robinson confessed or implied involvement.
Robinson was wearing clothing matching surveillance footage of the suspect.
A family member said Robinson had become more political recently.
Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are competing to release weight loss pills.
Both companies anticipate launching these pills in the United States next year, pending regulatory approval.
These daily pills could expand access to GLP-1 medications, currently known for weekly injections.
However, recent trials of Lilly's pill showed less weight loss than expected, raising questions about adoption rates.
Lilly's chief scientific officer, Dan Skovronsky, stated that a head-to-head trial comparing Lilly and Novo's pills is underway.
This trial will primarily assess blood sugar reduction in individuals with type 2 diabetes, but it will also measure weight loss.
Novo Nordisk's chief scientific officer expressed confidence in their data.
While Lilly's injectable, Zepbound, remains the most effective, neither company's pill achieves the same level of weight loss.
BlackRock bond chief Rieder has emerged as a candidate for the next Federal Reserve chair.
Rieder, BlackRock's chief investment officer of global fixed income, interviewed Friday with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
The discussion focused on monetary policy and structural issues related to the central bank.
Bessent seeks new leadership and fundamental changes in the Federal Reserve's operations.
Other candidates interviewed include former Fed governors Kevin Warsh and Lawrence Lindsay and James Bullard.
Rieder, like current chair Jerome Powell, would be a departure from the tradition of chiefs holding economics PhDs.
The Federal Reserve meets next week, with markets anticipating an interest rate cut.
President Trump has advocated for larger rate cuts, citing concerns about the housing market and government borrowing costs.
Opendoor co-founder and new board chair Keith Rabois criticized remote work and a bloated workforce, citing negative impacts on company culture.
He pledged to significantly reduce the number of employees.
Rabois stated in a CNBC interview that he is unsure of the roles of most of the 1,400 Opendoor employees.
He believes the company needs no more than 200 employees.
Opendoor recently appointed former Shopify executive Kaz Najatian as its new chief executive officer following investor pressure and the resignation of Carrie Wheeler.
The San Francisco-based online real estate platform also reinstated Eric Wu, the company's first chief executive officer, to the board.
Opendoor shares surged 78% on Thursday after the announcements.
However, the stock experienced a decline of over 13% on Friday, but remains up almost 500% this year due to retail investor interest.
Apple chief executive officer Tim Cook explained to CNBC why Apple invested $2.5 billion in Corning's Kentucky glass factory.
He praised Corning's technology and expressed confidence in the investment.
Cook cited innovation, cost, and quality as key factors in the decision.
Apple announced this investment last month, stating that all glass for iPhones and Apple Watches will be manufactured at this facility.
Corning has been a partner with Apple since the first iPhone in 2007.
Cook highlighted the strength and durability of Corning's ceramic shield technology.
Corning Chief Executive Officer Wendell Weeks stated the new ceramic shield is 50% stronger than the previous version.
Weeks also noted that Apple's investment will increase the factory workforce by 50%.
Apple, Google, and Meta are developing real-time universal translator gadgets.
These gadgets, once science fiction, are becoming reality thanks to advancements in artificial intelligence.
Apple showcased live translation for its new AirPods Pro 3 during its iPhone event.
This feature allows users to hear translations in real time in their headphones.
Live translation initially supports French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish to English.
The feature will also be available for AirPods 4 and AirPods Pro 2 via an update.
Google's Pixel 10 phone offers voice translate for calls, preserving the speaker's voice.
Meta's Ray-Ban Meta glasses can translate conversations, displaying text on the user's phone.
Chinese electric vehicle companies made a strong showing at the IAA Mobility Auto Show in Munich, Germany.
They aim to outshine European brands on their home turf.
Companies like XPeng, GAC, and Leapmotor displayed their latest electric vehicles and technology.
Europe is a key target market for these companies.
XPeng plans to launch its affordable Mona series in Europe next year.
GAC aims to sell 50,000 cars in Europe by 2027.
Chinese car brands have already doubled their market share in Europe during the first half of this year.
These companies emphasize technology, featuring large screens and voice assistants in their vehicles.
The Federal Aviation Administration announced a new pilot program to accelerate the development of air taxis.
Archer Aviation and Joby Aviation, key players in the electric vertical takeoff and landing, or eVTOL, industry, have joined this program.
Shares of both companies rose on Friday following the announcement.
This program will create at least 5 projects through public-private partnerships.
These partnerships will involve state and local governments to ensure the safe operation of eVTOL aircraft.
United States Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy stated that this represents the next major technological revolution in aviation.
He added that the United States will lead this revolution and solidify its position as a global leader in transportation innovation.
Archer Aviation indicated that supervised trials could begin in the United States as early as next year, pending Federal Aviation Administration certification.
David Ellison is quickly reshaping Paramount.
He became CEO and chairman of the newly merged Paramount Skydance just a month ago.
Ellison has focused on hiring talent, approving new projects, and securing a major sports deal.
He aims to invest in quality storytelling and advanced technology.
Paramount Skydance is reportedly considering an offer for Warner Bros. Discovery.
This potential acquisition could significantly expand Ellison's media empire.
Analyst Jessica Ehrlich notes Paramount needs substantial investment after previous underfunding.
The merger with Skydance was delayed due to an investigation into Paramount subsidiary CBS.
Massachusetts filed a lawsuit against Kalshi, alleging the platform offers illegal sports gambling.
The state claims Kalshi operates without a license, masking sports betting as events contracts.
Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell insists Kalshi must obtain a license and comply with state laws.
The state seeks a court order to prevent Kalshi from offering sports events contracts during the lawsuit.
Kalshi argues its events contracts are regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, a federal agency.
They claim this federal oversight supersedes state regulations.
Massachusetts alleges Kalshi generates more revenue from sports wagers than licensed sportsbooks.
The lawsuit claims sports wagers comprised up to 75% of Kalshi's trading volume.
Mark Benioff is closely following Palantir.
He acknowledges investors are heavily invested in Palantir, a data management software provider.
Benioff expressed admiration for Palantir during a recent interview.
He jokingly mentioned being inspired by their high revenue multiple.
Salesforce significantly surpasses Palantir in revenue generation.
However, Palantir demonstrates a faster growth rate than Salesforce.
Benioff remarked on Palantir having the highest software prices he has encountered.
He humorously questioned his own pricing strategy in response.
Ram is canceling its fully electric 1500 pickup truck.
Slowing demand for electric vehicles in North America prompted this decision by Stellantis.
The company will instead focus on an extended-range electric truck.
This truck, now called the Ram 1500 REV, will have both an electric motor and a gas engine.
The original fully electric truck was expected to launch by the end of 2024, but plans were delayed twice.
This shift in strategy comes amid a broader industry slowdown in electric vehicle adoption.
New Stellantis CEO Antonio Filosa is focusing on profitability and re-evaluating previous initiatives.
The Ram 1500 REV is expected to be released next year.
That's a wrap on this episode of US Market Brief. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next time with more stock market updates, earnings highlights, and insights from Wall Street.